What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James MENNIE. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, I want to lead off with this story on the referendum. I know we talked about it yesterday when the news broke, Francois Legault speaking, and then today I asked this question. I'll come back to it when we get done here. But I was interested to hear Mark Miller's response today, and I don't know if you heard it or not. When this question was asked about Quebec's potential demand to hold this referendum, right? In no uncertain terms, just as it was, seems to me, a week ago, Jim, right, when Justin Trudeau was asked, it was a pretty direct answer, and the answer was basically no. Well, today, Mark Miller, when asked, said this.
Well, look, any country that gives away its immigration powers to a third party, anyone else, a federated state, is no longer a country.
Okay, so let's get your take on that. First of all, it seems pretty clear.
Well, I'm presuming that if Mr. Miller said that, he must have got the green light from Trudeau because, let's face it, that is setting up a very specific situation, which is going to, never mind they're going to have their final meeting on June 30th. It ain't going to happen. So perhaps finally in Ottawa, and maybe not necessarily Trudeau, but someone in the government has figured out that it's time to maybe just, push your chair back, stand up, and push back and say, you want to have a referendum? Go referendum your brains out. And it's so funny because when you see what's happening today, I can't help but get the feeling that maybe Francois Legault is wondering whether he should have shot his mouth off at all yesterday. There was a clash. He and Paul St. Pierre Plamondon had a clash in question period today over the issue of a referendum. And whereas, I think with his tongue planted firmly in his cheek, the PQ leader is saying, yeah, we'll support the CAQ. If they want to go to a referendum, we will support them, although frankly, we think the referendum should be to take Quebec out of Canada. However, now Legault's almost talking like, well, no, I never said there's going to be a referendum. Stop talking like this. And you're just trying to blow things up. This is just sabotage. You're not talking. You're not trying to be positive in this at all. We're trying to, negotiate seriously with the government and get our demands met and whatever. But the fact of the matter is, the only person to use the word referendum in the context of immigration policy or jurisdiction is Francois Legault. Although I have to tell you, I chuckled a little bit when I was listening to the news with Jason Mayoff, and he said that the PQ leader said that Legault was losing credibility every time he mentioned, holding a referendum. I guess he should know, Aaron, because let's face it, that's the biggest, threat to his political future. But yeah, things are getting very, very strange now, and it's. I also had the feeling, looking at the reaction and lack of same this morning in Quebec, or the lack of enthusiasm, certainly from the part of the opposition parties, I really think yesterday afternoon, I think a lot of people walked into Legault's office and with varying degrees of volume asked him what in the hell he thought he was doing. Because I think we were all taken aback by his sort of like dropping this. And now today he seems to be trying to back it up. And you really, really can't do that. But for sure, if Mark Miller is saying it ain't going to happen, Trudeau must be on side and get ready for a confrontation. He's basically calling Francois Legault's bluff. And apart from a referendum on sovereignty, he doesn't really have any other cards in his hand.
So do you worry, like I do, that this idea, that gauntlet has been thrown, and it seems no federal official, Mark Miller, not the Prime Minister, are going to give an inch? They've already, done what they've done. They've given money to Quebec to deal with these people, and they've made it pretty clear. You heard comment from Mark Miller. You heard Justin Trudeau saying no. Is this then just pretext for Francois Legault to then say, well, see, we're getting nothing here. He's going to play PQ light and then say, go ahead, I have no choice but to call a referendum.
Yeah, but is he going to call it on immigration? Because then it's just pro forma. Because even if he gets a yes vote, a yes result, what does that mean? Look, see, all these people in Quebec want to have the jurisdiction changed. Doesn't matter. A lot of people, you can have a poll and say, I want to change this law one day. No one's going to turn around and change jurisdiction. The only way they can get Quebec, and when I say they, I mean the CAQ. I'm not talking about the actual Quebec. I'm talking about these people who have basically been driving this province into a wall for the past 6 years. The only way the CAQ is going to get what they want now, and that's the message I think that's been conveyed by Ottawa, is you either stand up and hold yourself a referendum on independence, stop chipping away at this à la pièce, and just go whole hog, or simply shut up. or sit down, as I said in many occasions, and Miller has said as well, stop negotiating behind a microphone. Let's sit down. This is the way provinces deal with the federal government. Let's see if we can work something out. The idea, and you can't blame Francois Legault. It's worked so far. And quite frankly, I don't think it's necessarily a change of heart on the part of Justin Trudeau. I think it may just be a series of circumstances that suddenly saw the government turn around and say, "What? No, this isn't going to happen." We draw the line here on immigration policy. Because first of all, it's also the Trudeau government's Achilles heel in terms of what's the spinoff of the housing crisis and the general feeling within Canada, rightly or wrongly, that we're taking in too many immigrants. So this is a focal point for the feds and for Francois Legault to turn around and try the way he did with the Official Languages Act to extort concessions or just barge in and inject Bill 96 as the preamble of a federal law. I think those days are gone. I think someone turned around and said, no more. It stops now. And if Francois Legault wants to make this an issue, let him make it an issue. Francois Legault wants to give us a deadline. It's not our deadline. June 30th is his deadline. Because we're making it clear he's not getting what he wants. So we're giving him enough time right now to try and burrow his way out of the mess that he dug himself into.
I can only imagine one other outcome then, right? He goes and meets with the Prime Minister before the end of June. He doesn't get what he wants, which is full control over immigration. But he has to come back with something. So maybe that something is an extra couple of $100 million to deal with the situation. And I wonder if that's enough.
Frankly, it's what I think everyone will acknowledge. It's what Ottawa owes the province anyway for the expenses that's run up dealing with this unbridled arrival of asylum seekers and immigrants into Quebec. Legault is not lying when he says it's beyond our capability to handle. And the fact is, we've been chasing Ottawa for years for some kind of compensation on this. But the idea that he had to, Francois, he's like the guy. There's always the guy who always says one sentence too much. And he had to throw in this whole referendum garbage. I don't know why he raised it. But now he has put himself in a very difficult position because he either has to follow through or be even more whipped by Ottawa on the whole issue of immigration. Either way, it's not going to end well for Francois Legault. And let's face it, for our listeners right now, we're saying, yeah, but what if he turns around and holds a referendum on independence? Guess what? He's going to lose. Okay, and when he loses that referendum, he'll also be blowing up the political future for the Parti Québécois because that's their raison d'être. So really, one press conference, an amazingly new set of booby traps and labyrinths for this CAC government to lurch through in the last 2 years of its mandate.
Let me move on to talk about something that did get done today in the National Assembly, and that's a law finally to deal with threats to Quebec politicians. It's a situation we've discussed before. Jim, what happened today?
I think it's great. They have brought in legislation that will allow politicians who are the subject of harassment, intimidation, and you can say, well, yeah, there's already laws about this. There's laws against assault, intimidation, and so on. Yes, but this is specifically geared towards elected officials, municipal officials, provincial MNAs. And if you unduly interfere in the exercise of the functions of these elected officials, they can go to court, they can get an injunction either barring you from going to their riding office or getting up in their face. And if you refuse to obey that, and this is the part that I like, this is an interesting set of teeth for this law. You can be fined anywhere from $500 to $1,500 for violating this injunction. And when the people, and I've seen this a zillion times over the course of my career, if people want to come in and start to disrupt a municipal council meeting simply because they want to disrupt a municipal council meeting, they can be fined anywhere from $50 to $500. And I guarantee you, given the experience that I've had with a lot of these clashes that I've seen at the city hall level, okay, there are not many people in those angry mobs, Aaron, who are quite literally willing to put their money where their mouth is.
Good point. All right, Jim, thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye, man.